So do you really need a 360 camera? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But watching social media, there's plenty of content creators that'll be telling you over the last year how much you do. But with that comes an incredible price. Whereas in comparison, a traditional action camera is much less. So on this ride, I'm going to show you some of the angles that I can take with a 360 camera that perhaps I can't just on a normal action camera. Right then, so a few days have passed since the unboxing. Just going to go out for a 20-mile spin, and I'm going to set up the camera in multiple different positions, different holders, just so we can see what it can do. So right now I'm holding it in my hand using one of the mouth mounts. I've seen a lot of social media creators hold it this way and pretty much only have it this way, which is quite interesting. So one of the benefits of this camera is, whilst I'm talking into the camera now, I can also capture alternative footage at the same time. So you've got my voice telling you everything you need to know, but you're also seeing exactly what I'm seeing, which is really handy sometimes, but at the same time, when you're holding it in your hand anyway, well, you can just move your hand. So it's 50-50 on the benefits of that. But anyway, let's crack on with this ride, and we'll mount it in a few different positions and we'll see what we think. So I'm going to actually hold it in my mouth now and catch with a nice little downhill stretch. Now another option we have is the selfie stick, which I've got to be honest is the one where I feel the most self-conscious when I'm cycling, holding a massive selfie stick. But at the same time, it gives you some great angles when you're riding your bike. One of my favourites yeah, I've got just to perfect the way I actually hold the handlebars. One of my favourites is this one, which gives you the opportunity to capture an angle as if someone else is filming you, which is when I'm out on my own on my bike, I think that's a great option just to give the viewer another perspective. Also, one of my favourite angles I like to take is down by the feet. But one of the advantages of this camera is that whilst you can capture that image, that nice low down action image, you can also capture what you're coming onto. So you can give that nice variety of image, and then you can turn it around a little bit and you can see out there to the side on this beautiful field, see the lovely area I'm cycling in right now, and with a click of a button you can also see the feet are turning, and I'm not just sat in a car pretending. And again, we can get a back wheel, we can get a nice perspective from the rear of the bike, which whilst I can get with the Action 4, it's much harder to obtain that image, and you're having to turn the camera around and the focus where the camera's pointed at, whereas with a 360 type camera you don't have to worry, you can just do that in the editing. So that is another bonus. Right, now it's on the selfie stick, that's where a number of the other options for setting this up come. So I'm just going to pull over, get it set up, and I'll show you some of those. So what I wanted to show you with this one, obviously we'll start cycling in a minute to get the angle, screwed in the selfie stick, and you can have it at this distance, but what you can do, and we'll do the footage as we ride to show you, but we can get it out all that way, a full extension, and again that's going to give you the view as if I've got a camera ahead of me. And say the DJI, and also with the Insta360s as well, with how the cameras are, they automatically eliminate the selfie stick from the view. It's quite amazing how they do it, to be honest. That was one of the big selling points for me, to be honest, because beforehand with the action camera that I was using and I have the selfie stick in my hand, you could see it and I couldn't edit it out, whereas this, the way it does it naturally, just it does make it look just so much more professional. But right, let's bring it in, we'll ride, and then we'll pop it out as we go along. So one of the things I was worried about when I first recorded with this was how much it flexes as I'm riding. It does bounce up and down quite a bit, and I was worried that the image quality as a result of that was going to be absolutely horrific and we're all going to be feeling pretty sick trying to watch it with our heads going like this. However, because obviously it takes a 360 image, when you come to edit it, as long as you edit in there in the DJI software, and I'm sure Insta's the same, you can track an object. And so you highlight what you want to track, and I do my head. And despite the camera moving all over the place, it just captures that. It's so the image you'll see on your screen is nice and smooth, even if the camera is going like this right now in front of me. Right, so reaching over, I'm going to put the selfie stick out as much as I can. Wish me luck. There we go. And now I get an image as if I've got a camera ahead of me. Nice and clean. It's eliminated the selfie stick from the view. I look pretty weird, I'm not going to tell a lie. There's people driving past me right now thinking, what on earth is sticking out of that bike? I've learned nice and quick from creating videos whilst out on my bike that you have to get over yourself. You know, who cares what people think as you're talking to yourself, as you're holding a camera, as you've got a metre long pole stuck out the front of your bike. They can think what they like, I know what I'm doing. It's all good. But yeah, I really like this image. And again, what we can do from here is, with the editing, we can show me pushing on nice and hard, really giving it some. I'm showing how fast I am. Wow. But then I can go on the editing and I can flip it around and we'll turn it, and then you can see what I'm riding onto. You can see the road ahead. You can see if there's other cyclists with me. Whatever it be, but we can change that viewpoint. And then when you're ready, flip it back onto me again. And it does a nice smooth motion in the editing, which you don't actually have to do anything about. It naturally will just return back to where you want it to return to. It's really clever actually. I didn't know I did that until I actually watched the image I edited last night. So what we'll do now is I'll show you a slightly different option with the camera still on the mount at the front, and what that one is without the selfie stick. I'm a little bit torn about this one, but we'll have a look, and perhaps in the comments you can tell me whether you think it's okay or not. I'll explain why I'm a little bit torn about it in a sec as well. Okay, so this one, we've just got the camera screwed in to the front of the mount, so it's much shorter, much closer to where I am. So let's go out on a ride and we'll see how that one looks. So personally, if I was going to choose one of the mounting points on my bike, this would be the one that I'd go for. And the reason being is it's nice and close to the bike. It's a lot less vulnerable than sticking out on a massive thin pole. One of my concerns, and it might be just with the mount that I've got, but I think they all look pretty similar, is that my Garmin is above. So on the image, you're capturing a chunk of my Garmin on there. First off, I feel like I'm advertising Garmin by having its name plastered right on my screen, which I'm not. And I'd rather not, so I might just get some black tape, so I'm not doing that, to be honest. So yeah, I just don't know if it blocks the view a little bit too much. It gives that perspective of, yeah, he's on his bike, you can really see everything that I'm using, etc. Not what bike computer I'm using. But again, we have the ability to flip the camera around. I don't have to touch anything, just do it in the editing so we can see exactly what I'm seeing right now, what I'm looking out to. And then we can flip it back round onto my ugly mug. You can put it to the sides as well. I'm not too sure about that when it comes to the editing. We're moving it out to the sides. Kind of loses the horizon a little bit. I think that could be a little bit easier on the editing software. But that might just be user error rather than the software, to be honest. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So the purpose of my video today is not to tell you need a 360 type camera, nor is it to tell you that you don't need a 360 type camera. All I'm hoping to do is to show you some of the shots that you can obtain with a 360, mention a couple of the plus and negative points, and from there you can make your mind up about whether it's something that you want, need, must have, or in fact you don't. Because whilst I've seen lots of content on YouTube about these type of cameras, I've not seen anyone break down the type of angles and shots that you can get, and so my hope is that this video will let you see that, and if you've already got an action camera itself anyway, you can make that decision on whether it'll benefit you or not. So this footage is the reason why I wanted to get a 360 camera. This, in my opinion, gives you that drone look, or the camera crew that are behind you. Again, I could do this with my action camera, but you had to make sure you had your camera pointed correctly once it was on the top of that mount, which isn't an easy thing to do. You're looking at brackets, etc., and when you've got an expensive camera and then a load of brackets on top of a thin pole pointing out the back of your bike while you're cycling X amount of miles per hour, it's a recipe for disaster. So this one, being specifically built for that, just made me feel a lot more confident. And again, it gives you that variety of angles. You've got the rider nicely in front, climbing up the hill as I am right now. And this is a hill, I tell you. And unfortunately, one of the flaws is that it doesn't quite capture the gradient. But as well as the rider, you flip it around and you've got that elevated view of where I've just been. I think that's really good when I watch other content. It's one of the visuals I do really appreciate. But at the same time, whilst I'm climbing up this hill and I'm putting a little bit more effort in, because I've got this camera, which is like less than 200 grams, I've also got this camera dangling high up above me, connected to the bike. The control of my bike is a lot different. I can feel it moving from side to side, moving that back wheel. So you have to be mindful of that and just take that little bit of extra caution. And again, there's that little self-conscious part of you that thinks, what do I look like with a massive pole stuck out the back of my bike with a camera? Who do I think I am? And that's part of the process of creating content for YouTube, in my opinion. It's getting over yourself and not caring too much. How beautiful a route is this though, eh? I mean, this is 10 minutes from the house and you're out in lanes like this. It's nice and early. It's just after 7 in the morning. Sun's coming up. So here's a fun little angle to do. So this is a proper bird's eye view. You've got to be mindful of what road you're on because you're going to be doing it one-handed. Although I reckon you could probably support it somehow with a mount on your body. In essence, you fully extend the selfie stick. Now, You get cycling, and you hold it above your head, and that gives you a full bird's eye view of what you're doing. It gives you a lovely perspective of the area you're going through. As I say, at the minute I can only do this one-handed. If you've got to change gear, you've got to brake, anything like that, you've got a little bit of a challenge ahead. But I'm sure there's some sort of chest mount you could get to be able to secure this if you're really passionate about getting this type of footage. Or you could just cycle really slow and perhaps speed it up on the settings on the playback to make it look like you're going faster. So whilst I do like the variety of footage that I can get with the 360 type camera, when it then comes to editing my content, it's a whole nother beast. Personally, I found using the DJI software incredibly complicated for what it needed to be. Now, as it turned out, that was actually down to user error. However, you get told to install DJI Mimo. It's just not a straightforward app. And I tried connecting my camera a few times, and I used a MacBook, and then found out that it wasn't compatible with a MacBook. I've obtained all this content, and now I can't edit it, I can't use it. What on earth am I doing? As it is, there is a different app called DJI Studio, which you can then get on your MacBook and other computers, and that's the one you use to do your editing. It's just, I didn't see that anywhere. I had to go into search engines and work out what on earth I could do after having a hell of a lot of panicking. It could have been so much more straightforward if it had just said right at the start, or the DJI Mimo, if that had incorporated DJI Studio, it would have been a whole lot less stressful. Right, ride's nearly done now. Just a quick one for today. I just did 20 miles, just a little shake out of the legs. A beautiful mid-September morning. Got to make the most of these before the darkness and cold sets in. So yeah, so got the ride done nice and early. Gonna crack on with the day now. Let's go.